What's up, guys? So today I kind of want to talk about how to get the most out of solvers. And many people have different approaches to this, but I think that there are a lot of problems with the current approach that most people have. And the current approach that most people have is like, okay, let's open a solver and then let's try to backwards rationalize how the solver is playing and why the solver is playing that way. And the problem with that is that study process doesn't really expose flaws in your overall approach to a spot and your overall approach to playing the game. And I think that with solvers, right, solvers are like the answer key. So, when you study mathematics in school, you never look at the answer key first and then try to rationalize how whoever solved the problem got to that answer. You take the problem, you struggle with it first, and then if you really can't solve it, you might look at the answer for help. I think that's how we should approach poker. I just don't think it's very productive to just try to, look at the answer key and then try to use that to kind of calibrate our gameplay. And I think that this process is also more productive for finding leaks than even hand reviews. Because when you do this, when you try to build a range manually first and then you look at the solver, what you're doing is you're thinking about the spot and then you're noticing the difference between you and the solver. And then you can understand, okay, you can investigate further. And then when you do your hand reviews, you can say, okay, wait, that's the leak from when I was studying the solver, like I found that problem with my thought process and there it is in the hand and I can do things differently and you know how you should do things differently and why. I think that when people are reviewing hands, they're just not doing it in a way that's grounded in theory. Anyway, so rant over, we're gonna actually get to the productive part of this video. So we have a board, and the reason why I chose this board is because it invites a lot of check raising from the big blind. So it'll provide a little bit more challenge for building range. And it's a queen 7-7 board, and it's one of those boards where the button's going to bet its entire range with a small sizing. So the button bets, and we're not going to look too much at the big blind defending range. We are going to construct it ourselves. So we're going to start by naming some groups. So the first group can be called bluff raise. So yeah, just bluff raise. And then second group can be called calls. Third group is going to be our value raise. Fourth group is going to be our check fold. Okay. Let's start by seeing what makes good calls. So I think top pair, king queen offsuit makes a good call. Queen jack offsuit makes a good call. Queen 10 offsuit makes a good call. Queen 9, Queen 8, Queen 7, Queen 6, Queen 5 makes very good calls. Queen 7, yeah. King 7, Jack 7. I'd call with 10 sevens. I would value raise our quads. I would value raise A7. I would value raise our A7 offsuit. And the reason why I do this, why I'd value raise our trips, is mostly because we're not blocking a whole lot of his defending range by having the 7 or even the rest of the 7s. He's going to bet with some ace king. He's going to bet with a lot of overcards. He's going to bet with all of these top pairs. He has so many hands that can call and defend against our raise that we have a lot of luxury and comfort with getting value, and that's mostly because these 7s are pretty low. Now, in terms of defending, I would actually call all of these low pocket pairs against at 33%, and I think I would fold pocket 2s because we just can't call too many turn cards. I really can't think of that many turn cards I'd want to call. With these lower aces, I would bluff raise spades, clubs, diamonds, and I would fold out the hearts. Again, I would bluff spades, clubs, diamonds, fold out the hearts. Then these are our strong aces, so I think those make good calls. Something like ace-6, I can see a mixed strategy of bluffing, of raising and calling. So I think we can call with our clubs, and I think we can raise with our spades and our diamonds, and then fold out with our hearts. With these lower kings, I think that it's really hard to justify calling with them very often because they will not make a very good pair when a king comes on. And other than a king, there just aren't too many good cards that can come on that make calling easy. But we can still raise with candidates that can potentially turn a draw. So I think I would raise with, basically the same strategy as our lower aces, but now I come to think of it, I think with this one, since it's a little stronger, I might call with hands like clubs. I would raise with spades. I think I would fold with diamonds and hearts. So now let's get to some very obvious folds. 4-3 suited is a very obvious fold. 5-3 suited is a very obvious fold. 6-4 suited is kind of, I would raise maybe one combo and I would fold out the rest. I just cannot imagine defending this that often. But I think I would do it with the clubs. 7-5 suited. Does this make a good value raise? I think it does make a good value raise because we do have trips, but they're not our strongest trips. So I think it does benefit from some degree of protection, especially since we've allocated so many strong trips to our calling range. So I think it benefits to put some trips into our value raises. Now, 8-5 suited, I think we can again just raise it some of the time. Then with 8-6 suited, I think that's a much more justifiable bluff raise. 9-6 suited, very good bluff raise. Probably one of our best. And then 9-7 suited. That is, I'd mix it up between okay, I think I would call with clubs and I would raise with hearts. Now, why would I do that? If we have hearts, we're not blocking his calling range. We're unblocking his calling range when we have hearts. So when we have hearts, it makes him more likely for him to have ace king of clubs. It makes him more likely to have jack 10 suited with clubs. It makes him more likely to have a lot of these stronger hands that like to call against a raise when we have hearts. And then when we have clubs, we're better off just calling. Then king 9 suited, I think those are high enough that they just make good calls. I don't know if we should be calling all of them, only calling some of them. Jack 9 suited, so jack 10 suited would obviously be a better bluff candidate, but I think we can just like bluff raise one combo, which are the clubs, which would have us make the third best flush. And then with jack 8 suited, I think again, bluff the clubs and fold out the rest. Maybe bluff spades. 10-8 suited, I just don't think that's the best call. Doesn't make straights very easily. If we make flushes, it's kind of hard to call down Anyway, so with a call, let's do ace jack offsuit, ace 10 offsuit, ace 9 offsuit, ace 8 offsuit with ace 5 offsuit. I will raise this like 50% of the time, and then, okay, yeah. And then I'll call like 2 hearts, and then I will fold with the other hearts. And then ace-6 offsuit, I think that's just kind of a call, I guess. Ace-4 offsuit, I would just fold. Ace-5 suited, I think that's a fold on the rest of our combos, and then Jack-8 suited is a fold. Yeah, so this is what our range looks like. Okay, I haven't finished these, so King-Jack offsuit, that's a call. King-10 offsuit, that's a call, and then King-9 and King-8, I think we can just fold those out. Why would we call with King-9 and King-8 when we have, you know, all these kings that are much better to call? 10-9, Jack-9 off again. Not the best. And then this one, I think we can make a mixed strategy of bluffing sometimes and calling some other times. And let's only call a few hearts, and then we can fold out the rest of our hearts. Yeah, okay. So we've constructed a range. Let's take a look. Okay. So looks like we did pretty well for our, let me let you see the key. Okay, blue is raise, green is call, red is fold. So I think we did pretty well for our pocket pairs. Turns out we do have to call 2s. That's just a really hard call for me. So maybe that's something to look at if I'm under defending pocket pairs on certain boards. But I think we did pretty good overall. Raising the quads, raising ace-7, raising 7-5 suited, calling with the majority of our trips. Interesting that it raises King-7 suited. That's fascinating to me. But the other lower trips, and then mixed strategy here. So I got that right somewhat. It's interesting to me how we're folding our 9-6 suited so much more. I thought that would actually be a really good bluff. 8-6 suited, we got right. 7-5 suited, kind of, we're raising it a little bit more, but you know, at this point we're getting caught up in the minutia a little bit. 6-4 suited, we did pretty well, and then these other suited gappers, we basically guessed correctly that we would fold them. And then we're obviously calling with our mediocre queens, calling with our top pairs. So overall, it's quite surprising that, you know, I'm actually pretty surprised that the way I constructed this range wasn't that far off the mark. And obviously this is not the hardest board. You know, this is kind of a straightforward board and a pretty straightforward spot. But I think that if you can do this with lots of spots, and let's see, how long is this video? So far it's only 13 minutes. And if you did this with 184 flops, right? Let's say you did this with 184 flops. Each one took you 15 minutes. 13, let's do 15 times 184 divided by 60. It would only take you around 50 hours to build ranges for all of these flops, which would probably lead to you completely mastering this spot, right? Like you'd be able to construct a range so close to how the solver constructs it. You would master the spot so well by putting 50 hours, like think about it. 50 hours is like, for some people that's 10,000 hands. I know for other people who are like 4-tabling Zoom, it's a lot more, like maybe 50 or 60,000 hands. But think about it, right? You could basically master an entire spot with just 50 hours of doing this approach. And to me, that's really mind-blowing, because it's one thing to watch a training video, but when you do this, I really feel like you master the range building process on a molecular level. You know exactly which suits make good calls. You know exactly which hands make good raises, and you're actually able to build in the mixed strategy. And you're not thinking about it as like this combo, this holding, that holding. You're thinking about the suits, and you're kind of going top down. And overall, I just find this study tactic really productive. All right, guys, enjoy your day.